Okay. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 at 7 p.m. I'm going to have you all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I do need to make an adjustment to the agenda. We had the adjournment before a public hearing on the budget. I don't think that's what we need to do. So we need to have a motion to move that and then vote on that.
Mr. Mayor,
We're gonna go.
How about we do the invocation and roll call first?
Well, I was gonna do this and then roll into that.
Mr. Mayor,
I just want to make sure we got it. Yeah, go ahead.
make a motion that we move item 7 to become the new item 8 and the old item 8 to become item 7. So adjournment is at the end of the agenda.
Okay, we have a
Or we can move
motion.
it to 2.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we had a legal public hearing before we got going too far. So Mr. Larry Osborne with Life Springs Church going to come up here and do our invocation tonight.
One correction.
One correction?
Life Spring, there's one S.
Oh,
it's in
I
the
know,
middle.
Life Spring, not
We talked about that at
springs,
staff
not
meeting the
multiple,
other day.
not multiple springs, but one
Yes,
spring.
there's only one spring. There you go. Okay, let's pray. Father, I wanted to say thanks for this council and for the way that you have blessed them with wisdom and knowledge. I know that sometimes the decisions aren't necessarily popular, but hopefully they are the right ones and they're the ones that will be best for the city of Star and our community. Thank you for Trevor and his leadership, and thank you for the rest of the staff, all that they do to be a part of that. Tonight, we just want to ask your blessing on this meeting. We ask that everything would go smoothly. You'd be with the hearing that's going to happen a little bit later. And Lord, I know that yesterday Barbara's grandson Sam was in a a motorcycle accident. One of the staff that's here, and I just pray that you would be with him as he recovers, and be with the family as they go through that process as well. We do want to ask as well for people in the community that are hurting and all, that you would be with them. Send people alongside to be there to comfort them and guide them through their time. But we also want to rejoice when it's time to rejoice. So be with our time tonight, be with the meeting, and we just ask your blessing on it. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Roll call.
Hershey. Here. Wheelock.
Aye.
Chadwick.
Here.
Salmonson.
Here.
Nielsen.
Present.
All right, Mr. Robert, I actually misspoke. You are coming up to give a presentation there with the Ada County Prosecutor's Office. So you can get that done and get out of here. You don't have to listen to the whole hearing. And you might have to pull that microphone more towards your mouth. We have people
All right.
online, I think, listening too.
Okay, how's that? Is that going to work, you think?
That'll work. Does that work, Dana? Yep, okay.
Okay. So my name is Robbie Blazard. I'm a deputy prosecutor with Ada County. I'm here on behalf of Jan Bennetts to talk about the Ada County Prosecutor's Office budget request for the upcoming year. I'm happy to report to Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, that we continue to work closely with the police department here, the Ada County Sheriff's Office. And pleased to report that we maintain a good relationship there. We're happy to work side by side with those law enforcement partners in keeping this community safe. For the upcoming year, we're not requesting any sort of increase to our budget. The budget request is $30,000. It's been that way for a number of years now. And I can tell you that that's a bargain at that price. And we're happy to continue to work for that contract. There's a chance that in coming years that amount adjusts upward with the increase in population here in Star and the number of filings that we have that year to year increase. I think that's a credit to the law enforcement effort here. The Star City Police do a tremendous job in citing and filing new misdemeanor infraction cases. So again, we're happy to handle those cases moving forward. And just to be clear, all the felonies that occur in Star, we handle those statutorily. That's just our office. That's the statutory duty of Jan Bennetts and the Ada County Prosecutor. But I'm here specifically about the infractions and misdemeanor cases that we represent the city of Star on just on those misdemeanors infractions. So I'm happy to report more specifically about anything that you guys have questions about. If you have questions on, I can tell you about new filings or anything like that, or the services that we provide. Otherwise, I won't bore you with that stuff. So I'll stand for questions, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council.
Any questions for the attorney with the Ada County Prosecutor's Office?
Well, thank you very much.
Your job was easy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. May I be excused?
You
I'll-
may
I'll
be
leave you people in
excused.
peace from the attorney.
Actually, I got to get my $30,900 from you, so you need to stay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman,
I move that we approve the consent agenda consisting of item 5A, approval of claims provided and previously approved.
Second that.
we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Hershey,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Simonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. We're going to move on to items now 7A, the public hearing for the budget on 2022 and 2023. I am going to do the budget presentation on this up here. So let me get this thing started. I think you have it loaded, right, Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I'm going to come over here to the podium to do it on there and bring some stuff with me here, okay?
Oh, you're moving right through
Good presentation.
them. Complete. What argued?
Okay. The council gets used to me doing this for well, not Councilman Wheelock, but sometimes it takes me a while on this one here. But I'm going to do the budget presentation. I don't think you see many mayors do the budget presentation here in the Valley. But that's the way we operate here at the City of Star and very deeply involved with it. There is a packet. Did everybody get a packet out here in the front? If you would like one, it's there. We are going to talk about the first parts of this. It just kind of follows along with the packet. What we look at when we're working on our budget. We look at a reliable income versus our mandatory expenses, and we want those items to match as closely as possible. So our reliable income comes in the forms of property taxes, revenue sharing, which is a sales tax revenue sharing formula from the state, liquor revenue. So the more liquor that's purchased, the more revenue we get, and franchise fees. And then we have mandatory expenses, which are the police, that's number one, animal control, our legal, city staff, and liability style insurance. We also have pass-through income versus pass-through expenses. So impact fees, proportionate share agreements. There's one item I missed on here is we have some pass-through income that goes to our contract building officials. So we have the Star Park impact fees, the Ada County Highway District impact fees, the Star Fire District impact fees, the Canyon Highway District impact fees, the proportionate share agreement we set up with the Idaho Transportation Department 2 years ago. And also what I just said is our building officials who are on contract get 60% basically of the income from building permits. We're very healthy as a city. Right now, our total savings accounts have $14,471,000 in them. That's all of our accounts. 9 million of that is in our savings and operation accounts. Our park impact fees equate about 2.5 million, and that can only be utilized on our capital improvement projects on our parks here in the city. We also have an ITD proportionate share account, which has about $883,000 in it. And that again can only be utilized on highway improvements within the City of Star on the three state highways that we have, Highway 16, Highway 44, and Highway 2026. And that's an agreement we set up in 2020 in April and I'll show you a slide on that here in a minute, but we have quite a bit of money committed to that fund. And then we got the ARPA funds. We had ARPA funds that 2 years worth of ARPA funds that came in a total almost about 2.3 million, I think it was. And we got our last disbursement this last June. That ARPA fund account is at 1.365 million because we utilized 900,000 of that to help purchase a ladder truck for our Star Fire Department for our city. Oops, let me go back, sorry. So again, our total city savings is $14.4 million in our accounts. So our revenue source, property taxes, start property taxes, we're looking at an 8% increase. You can increase your property taxes by 8% either through a 3% general increase and 5% new construction if you have it, or you could do it all through new construction, which you don't utilize that 3% general increase. We've had enough new construction in the city of Star that we could increase our levy dollar amount by the full 8% with all new construction, meaning that it doesn't add on to everybody else's taxes that have been here, right?
Mayor Chadwick,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make a clarifying point. You said we had an 8% increase in property taxes. And that may sound like we increased property tax for people by 8%.
We're, okay, let's clarify that. We're increasing the levy dollar amount by 8%. Is that better? He doesn't want darts thrown at him, I think, right? On that, I get it. Or me on that, so I get that. And so we're gonna be levying $1.7 million is all towards property taxes amongst a value in our city of about $2.5 billion. That's very little. In fact, the city of Star, I just want to give you guys some information. I've been talking about this a little bit. We are when you look at per capita, per population property tax, we only levy $105.19 per person if you look at it in the valley. The city of Eagle is at 123, and you get up to Boise, which is $689. So we do levy. We've been very fiscally conservative as a city forever. Everybody that was on the council, from Tom Earlback, who's sitting back here, guys, they were fiscally conservative and kept our property taxes low. And that's for good reason, right? We want to be responsible with our money. And that left us with a foregone, which is a monies that you didn't take an increase on increases up to the 3% before in new construction of $663,000. We used to be able to take that in the past if we wanted it all or a portion thereof. In case if we had need for like our police or whatnot, but state legislation a year ago created it so you can only take 1% of that amount if you're not taking the 8% full cap. So pretty much that's going to stay as it is as a foregone of $663,000 unless they change that law on there. So, okay. And this kind of gives you an example of the property tax levy example here. I got to pull it up. I can't read that. And I'm sorry, guys, if you can't read that either, but it's in the packet. Just to kind of give you an idea of what's happening here. Say that again. Are you able to blow that up on the PowerPoint?
It didn't go well.
It did not go well. Oh my goodness. And I got it worse on the paper, guys. I'm sorry. So the example number one is a house in Stevens Springs subdivision here, and it kind of gives you an idea of what our valuation challenges are in the city compared to property taxes as a whole. If you look at this house back in 2021 year, the value was $360,100 with a homeowner's exemption of $100,000 at the time for $260,000 in total value that's taxed. Example two is 21 and 22 year frame. It had a 30% increase in valuation to 4.7 million. That was the year that they increased the homeowner's exemption to 125,000. So you could increase, or I'm sorry, so the taxable value was 345,000. If you look at this year, 643,000 is what the value is. It went up another 36%, right? Still the same $125,000 homeowner's exemption. So now the new taxable value is $518,000. The challenge we have is Star is only one piece of the pie of property taxes when you guys look at property taxes. There's 12 taxing districts in Star, depending on where you live. Anybody north of Highway 44 has 11 taxing districts. Everybody living south of Highway 44 has 12. The difference being the flood control district 10. Star is only one of those 12. Okay, so when you hear people say that the cities are raising your property taxes, it's simply not true. It is 12 entities that are part of that whole. Okay.
Page 11.
Page 11. So Councilman Wheelock's proud moment right now is having us put on this pie chart. He really wanted us to put the pie chart in here on page 11 that shows you the, oops, wrong button. Did I get that on here? There it is this property tax comparison. It kind of gives you the idea of where Star sits, and the yellow at 12.74% of your total property tax is levied from the city of Star. 17% of your property tax is levied from Star Fire, 22% is levied from West Ada School District, and 24% is levied from Ada County on there, okay? Yes, okay? So just so you're aware of that. And if you look at example number 2 on there that we had, that's another property in Star that kind of shows you a little bit different scenario. When you look at the increases, when I say that doesn't necessarily increase, we have a valuation problem in our state on how values are figured. When that one property only went up 36%, it's projected that that person on that house is going to have a reduction in Star City taxes of about $12, right? Because we have so much more properties online and more value. The second example you'll look at, this is a house out in Craftsman subdivision. Last year they had, oh my goodness, this is the age I have to guess I have reading glasses, right? 21% increase last year. This year they had a 53% on top of that increase.
Mayor, it's up on the board right behind you.
Oh, bigger.
Bigger
Okay.
now.
Can I move to the right? Oh, that's it. Yeah, right. Move it to the right for me there. Thank you. So if you look up here on this, you can see that now it went from $605,000 in valuation to $927,000 in valuation. So their taxable value went up about 67% because the homeowners exemption stayed the same. Star City last year was $441 is what they paid in their total of $3,400 in total tax. And then over here in this year, it's projected that they're going to pay to the right, that they're going to pay $473, which is an increase of about $32. And you see that 50% increase in their valuation is creating a problem in there. So we have a problem, a valuation problem. For years, the business property tax example. Yes, I can. This is mine or yours? It's not mine. I don't want what's on his lip, so. All right. So for years, there we go. Businesses weren't being valued the same as, and they're not valued the same as residential side of it, right? And we talk about a valuation challenge in Star. Out of the property taxes, 93% of the burden is on the homeowner, 7% on the commercial side. That's why we're pushing for so much commercial. You see a lot of commercial happening here in our town right now. But if you look at, I think this is Bi-Mart. Can you go to the left, Ryan, on this one? Is there, oh, there's, okay. So right there, last year, Bi-Mart actually saw a decrease in value of 5%. And then this year, they saw an increase in value of 26%, but still not at the same rate as residential folks are being valued, right? And so we have a valuation challenge where it's going to make it hard to make that flip from 93.7, and we're trying to get down to a 70-30 at some point where it's only 70% on the residential and 30% on the commercial. That's the goal, right? Okay, and then you look at the next one is El Mariachi Local Restaurant. They went from, they decreased 14% last year, and then this year they went up 31%. I mean, it's all over the place on the value side, right? And again, the commercial is valued completely different than the residential side, how they figure out the values on there. Okay. All right, revenue. We'll continue. Oh, yeah, and we'll continue on the revenue side. So we have revenue sharing. Revenue sharing is a way the state supplies some extra money back to the cities. However, the revenue sharing came in place when the state was reducing monies available to the city through property taxes and whatnot in the past, right? And it continues that way. But and it's a sales tax revenue sharing. So all the sales tax that's collected in the state, 11% of that gets distributed amongst the cities and the counties here in Idaho. And we're at 1.3 million is what we're projected to get. Last year, we were only about 1 million projected to get in revenue sharing from the state. So we're getting a little bit of increase of $300,000 from that. Liquor revenue at $129,000. It's about a 9% increase from what we're getting last year. And franchise fees. Franchise fee, if you look at your bills on Idaho Power, Intermountain Gas, Cable One, if you have that, and Republic Services, you'll see there's a franchise fee amount. Well, you're paying that franchise fee through those organizations to help fund the city as well, just so you're aware, okay? And the highest amount we have is the franchise fees with Republic Services, which is our trash services, is 7% is what we collect, what we get for that. from agreements that's set up in the past. And as we grow, that number will obviously grow because more people are online paying that fee. And this kind of gives you an idea of what the reliable income is compared to, well, just what your reliable income growth looks like over the last 5 years, right? And we have on the bottom, I believe, is liquor, we have franchise fees, we have revenue sharing, and we have property taxes on how that has grown. If you look back here in 2019, we only had $461,000 in revenue sharing from the state to almost in 5 years, we're at 1.3 million. So that's a good revenue source for the city right now, is that revenue sharing. Not nearly what Boise and those guys get, but it's our portion of that. Revenue, ACHD impact fees, STAR impact fees, and STAR Fire and CHD4 impact fees. Every time a house is built in STAR, all those impact fees are collected from those for those various agencies. It's ACHD right now, I think I have it on those slides, about $3,400. STAR impact fee, park impact fee is $2,050 per house. STAR Fire impact fee is $809, and Canyon Highway District 4, which is on the other side of Canada Road in the Canyon County side of STAR. We just set this up this year. It's a $5,000 impact fee. $5,050 impact fee for every residential unit over there. So quite a bit more on that side. This right here is our proportionate share. So every subdivision that has come into STAR since April of 2020 is required to pay a fee into a proportionate share account, which the city holds on to. It doesn't go back to the state or to ITD to be shifted somewhere else in the state. This fee, like I said, goes to help improve the widening of certain sections of our state highways here. And you can see the ones that are in yellow right here are the entities that have paid into that fund right now at a total of $883,000. All these others haven't paid yet because they haven't got their final plats completed yet. So there's $4.8 million committed to that fund for highway improvements that wouldn't otherwise have been paid, right? Or wouldn't have happened. So we're working on this year, and we'll see it further down the road, down here between Star Road and Canada Road on Highway 44, we're gonna widen that to 5 lanes. It'll probably bid out in December, and the project starting in January, February, with hopes that it's gonna be done in May, a quick project. And so that'll help some of that traffic issues that we have. Continued on revenue sources, the building and land use fees. Our building fees, meaning fees that when people submit permits when they submit permits, there's a fee that gets charged. It's like $85 per one for review. And then there's also the fees based on the value of the house on what they have to pay for the permit. So we're going to collect about 1.2 million, but I'm going to talk about that one here in just a minute because something we discovered today, which was kind of interesting. We're going to collect $1.2 million on that, actually more. 156,000 on those other entities, and then on land use fees, which is when people ask for annexation or for a rezone or for a preliminary plat or whatnot. Falls in the $120,000 range. And then bonding. If a project is going on and before they can get their plat signed, the winter weather runs in and they can't get their landscaping done, or there's an issue with lights or paving, then they have to put a bond in with the city. That is actually a pass through. If they complete the work, they get the money back, right? If they don't complete the work, we can exercise that bond to get it done for them so it doesn't stand there and be blight for us right out there. The building fees. So we discovered today, so you guys know, this is an interesting thing, that our building fee, it's based on square footage of living space, and there's a fee calculation by the International Code Council that is used, and the fee that the calculation we've been using is from 2019 on there, and there's a higher calculation, which doesn't make sense anyway with their higher calculation. It doesn't equate to the same amount as what the values of the city of Star are. And what triggered the thought today was I was looking at some of these permits, and some of them were coming in for 2,500 square foot houses at $350,000 as a value. I'm like, are you kidding me? These things are selling for $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 when they get them out there, when they finally sell them. So this is going to be an additional revenue source because we're going to change our process on this. Either we're going to see what the updated, I think we have a 2022. We found a 2021, but we think there's a 2022 code for that that gives us a fee, or we're going to utilize something different based on what our market values are doing today. Because that will help us fund functions and personnel in our city if we increase that. If we can double that fee, I mean, that could end up being $2 million just like that by looking at that. So that's an interesting deal right there. Now, granted, when I say we're going to do our own thing, I haven't run that by my legal guy yet, so we'll have to run that by him if we can do our own thing. Okay. Revenue also comes in the form of dog licenses and fees, vendor licenses. So anybody that's walking around your neighborhood must have a license. If they don't, promptly tell them to go away and go to the city and get a license. Okay, that's a little bit of way for us to control that. Alcohol beverage licenses, those are anybody in the city that gets an alcohol permit of one form or the other, whether it's beer and alcohol or hard liquor licenses. That's where they pay into that yearly. Park reservations, we have a lot more interest in our parks right now to rent those for different functions and events. We have been, I think we're becoming the baseball capital for parks because we got a lot of baseball outfits that want to rent our baseball fields because it's multi-use. It's for different lengths and stuff like that, which was why we set that up. Facility rentals would be like our River House, or if they want to rent this facility here or Blake Park facilities. And then we get interest on all those accounts that we have in there, about $20,000 a year. And then donations, we'll get cash donations from folks for different things, right? They may want to donate money for kids for athletics and camps and whatnot, and that'll go into that revenue source. Grants, ARPA funds, and events. Park and Pathways grant. So this is a $200,000 grant we applied for. We found out last week that we did not get that grant. And that was solely going to be used to put the pathway into the middle school to get kids off the highway, off the roadway there. However, we are not giving up on that because we are looking at other grant opportunities for that as well. So we're going to leave that where it's at $200,000 at the moment. We do have a transportation planning grant that's in the portal that I believe it's on the top of the list for them. And so we're going to get that. And we're looking at a downtown parking study and whatnot, so we can try to create some parking, because when Highway 44 gets widened down here, all the on-street parking is going to go away. It's not going to take any businesses away, but all the parking will go away. And then we have a hometown celebration revenue. For the last 2 years, Ms. Dana over there and I have been very successful in getting all of our hometown celebration paid for by sponsorships and donations. And so that's about, we got 70,000 this last year, but we're going to keep it about 65,000 depending on what the market does. And then ARPA funds, you'll see that zero. We're not going to get any more ARPA funds. That was on our budget last year. Thank goodness. Let's not get any more of those because we just pay for those in the future, right? Revenue, sports, recreation, and programming. So sports fees is going to come in about $88,000. That's all those baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse, all those kind of things that if we do that, that's where those fees are associated with. Recreation and camp fees. So we have some pretty cool camps that have been going on this summer. They've all been absolutely full. And Miss Annie right there has put a lot of these together. You can raise your hand, Annie, on that. So we hired Annie, I think, in April or May? Okay, 2 months ago. June, May, we hired her in May. She put a bunch of camps together for these kids, and it's generated over north of $35,000 in revenue for the city that fast with these camps. And they are well attended and they're so cool. It's fun to see these kids doing all the things they're doing. So we anticipate between her stuff and the stuff that Miss Kim is doing with the adults that we're going to get right around the 87,000 range on that. And this kind of gives you some ideas of the different recreation programs that we're doing. You know, we have concealed weapons classes. We had CPR classes for the kids that are going to be counselors. We have, like just today, we had the police out there on, what do we call this week? Community Helpers Week. So she had the police out there today with the kids, the fire out there last week. We had the reptile guy. You see that big old snake on the far right picture. You know, the kids get to experience reptiles and star, including gators, which was awesome. You know, we do fit and fall classes for our seniors. We do yoga and Pilates style classes, painting, all that kind of stuff that these kids and adults get to participate in. So I think we're pretty well rounded as a city on what we offer for our community. on here. Okay, revenue, continuing, we have court fines and scholarships, specific scholarships, that's Mayor's Youth Style scholarships for the school. And we have miscellaneous revenue. If it doesn't fall into any other category, it will go in there. And then we have a general funds transfer. We're going to transfer money from our general funds this year of 2.4 million into our budget to help pay for the state highway improvements. And it'll be paid back with those proportionate share monies. We felt that that was important to get that widening done to help alleviate some of our traffic issues. So that's what we're going to do there. We're going to transfer money from our park impact fees into the budget. And we're going to transfer from the ITD proportionate share the monies that we have in there. And then we're also transferring money from the ARPA funds. We're going to use those ARPA funds for our police. We're going to be moving our police station over to the fire department on that single level section on the east. Our police is only growing and they've outgrown the space upstairs. It's very tight up there for those poor folks, but we could remodel that facility, I think, for a lot less than $500,000 is what we're guessing on there. But if we're going to use ARPA funds, it's all based off of COVID related issues, and our growth in our city, honestly, has been a lot related to COVID, people bailing out of other areas, which is requiring our need for more fire, more police and whatnot. So here's our total projected revenue of $14,396,119.73. And just remember, only $1,730,000 of that, or 12.02% of our total revenue, is coming out of property tax funds. Okay. Expenses. So how do you like this picture? So law enforcement is our big expense. We have a kid at heart who is one of our officers holding that big old snake over there. I had to put that on there. That's Sanderson. Our law enforcement budget is going to be 1.7 million this year. Our goal is to have our property taxes pay for our law enforcement because they're so close. At times when the economy is going bad and going tanking, that's when you need your law enforcement more and not reduce them, right? We could reduce staff in the city. They don't want to hear this, but we could reduce staff in the city. We could reduce payroll. We can reduce the council and the mayor's salaries. We could do all that kind of stuff. But the one thing, in my opinion, that's most important is making sure that our public safety stays where it's at all times. Okay. So this 1.7 million is going to include the addition of a sergeant. We're at a point in our life as a police force. Right now, we have a chief, 2 detectives, 8 patrol deputies, and an admin. We need a sergeant to take some of the load of supervision off of the patrol deputies. So we're going to put a sergeant out there who will also be patrolling. And then with that, we have to change Chief Zach to a Chief 2 in that area to get him out of the sergeant role and into a lieutenant role to be over the top of everybody else. I think that's what these guys are here for, right? To talk about the funds, if you guys have any questions about that. Is that right, Zach? I mean, they're like sitting there really quiet over there.
Are those the guys that make the graphs for us every month?
Do these guys make the grass every month? Oh, it's a different division. So you were going to get thanks for that, but I guess you're not getting that now. Additional expenses, executive payroll, which is the mayor and the council, that 142,600. Staff payroll and expenses, the clerk office has 5. We're adding another one. It'd be 296,000. The planning and zoning department was 6 at 368. Our recreation department with 5 at 198. Our building and grounds, we're going to add another building and grounds person. As we add parks on, we have to be able to maintain them, which will be, I can't read that over there, 269. And then we got the associated costs with FICA, Medicare, workman's comp, public retirement, and health insurance. Our health insurance costs went up quite a bit this year. Due to COVID is what we're being told. They tried to get some funding from the state to help alleviate that, and they got denied by the state with all their ARPA funds that they have. Here's an organizational chart that we put in here. If you guys are interested, it's in your packet. Should also be on the website, I believe, that we have that. Kind of lays everything out. All those in orange are contracted services. The blue are actual employees of the city. The gray are appointed positions. So you have 3 appointed positions in the city. That's the clerk, the treasurer, and the city attorney by state statute. That's the requirement. And then we also have down there on the bottom, we have all the agencies that we work with. And in the green are our different active committees that we So we go on to expenses. Well, the Ada County prosecutor, I never got the information from them before. So we did a 6% increase on there. So they just came in and told us it's only 30,000. So you got 2,445 more dollars to play with in the budget, right? If we need to. The Canyon County prosecutor, you notice it's quite a bit lower. However, we do not have all of the misdemeanors and stuff going on over there yet because the city hasn't grown nearly as much on that side. But it will. There's plenty of residential properties and subdivisions over there that will start going soon. City attorney is our Chris right here that we can spend up to $48,000 with Chris. And then we have additional legal when we are getting ourselves in fights with entities such as Middleton. We do need the additional legal sometimes, right? And then Keller Associates, you'll notice that this one has dropped by about $70,000-ish from last year. We used to contract our engineering services through Keller. We have decided between the city and Star Sewer and Water, which is a separate taxing district, to share our and bring on full-time Ryan Morgan back here on the left. He's our city engineer and also Star Sewer and Water's engineer. And that saves us quite a bit of money on that in the long run. Because a lot of the pass-through money that would go to Keller and Associates is going to now stay with the city with his reviews and whatnot here too. So then we have IT, computer consulting, and then iCrimp, which is an insurance for the city in case we do something wrong. Parks development. I think this is an exciting part for me. The last several years, we've done a lot in improving our systems, making them more ADA compliant, friendly and whatnot, and providing more opportunities for our citizens. So we're going to do an additional improvement at Blake Haven Park, which is playground resurface at it's going to cost about $150,000. Instead of having to buy bark and have holes and all that, we're going to have the rubberized material installed in that facility. And it also makes it ADA compliant as well because you can roll wheelchairs and whatnot through there on that. Our pavilion park, the most asked for item in our city right now is a splash pad. And so we're going to be working on getting a splash pad put in there. Reached out to all these different entities. Even Nampa just reported the new splash pad. They send me their pricing and their designs and all that and what they spend. So we can try to see what we want for a splash pad over there. Pickleball, Councilman Hershey's favorite sport, is going to go in over there as well. And basketball. With an adjustable hoop, so those of us like me have a chance at dunking with a half-inch vertical, right? So then at Hunters Creek Park, you guys know the Tom Earlback Skate Park. Mr. Tom back here worked his tail off on that years ago, and we got that put in place. It was supposed to have a shelter there at the time, and it's never been put in. So Tom and I have been working on getting the shelter put in so those kids and those families that are over there can actually have some shade. So he got me some quotes and whatnot, and we're about $100,000 to put that skate shade in with some concrete. And then the Star River House ponds. This is 1.2 million, which is down here behind Heron River. We started some of that process this year. We have Dockzilla being built right now. Miss Jennifer was actually out there looking at it today. It's quite a big dock system that's going to go in the ponds. That's going to be multi-use for everybody between paddle boarders, fishers, swimmer, all that kind of stuff. So that Star River House pond is the rest of the landscape and the pathways and whatnot. The developer over here in Heron River has committed to spending $500,000 of his own money to help facilitate the building of that facility as well. So future developments of parks, we do have the Trident Ridge Park, which is 59 acres, I think. Is that right? 59 acres up off of the end of Wing Road in the foothills. The plan with that, it's all desert, sagebrush and all that, is to put trails and pathways through there with different seating areas so you can go hike up through the hills and sit or whatnot up there. And then we also have the Roselands Park. This last year, we were able to negotiate an agreement with West Ada School District. This is the 7 acres of land that's right in front of Roselands that they have no plans to build a school on in a long period of time. So it's nothing but weeds. So in the future, we're going to work on a design with residents up there at Roselands to make a park facility up there for the citizens. We got a 50-year lease. I think it's 50. A 50-year lease at $1 a year for that facility. So it'll be a good amenity. And hopefully, if they decide to sell it, we can get first in line to buy it, right? On there and then have it. Okay. Professional dues. various entities that we belong to is about $27,000. And our committee funding this year is about $42,900. Our Parks Beautification Committee, I think, is around 26 of that or 7 of that. Okay, 24,900. I try to give them more money. So 24,900. And I think Jennifer, if you want to tell them the things that they have in that.
Sure. So we have a basic of 2,000 that's the same as the rest of the
Right.
committees, and that's just for maintenance and operational things. And like when we do the star make star shine day, and we break up the leaves. So so just general, like some simple programs throughout the year. And then we're also going to purchase new streetlight pole banners. And so the banners that you see hanging on the streetlights, we're gonna switch all those out. There'll be 3 new sets for the year. And then we're also the committee would like to purchase some holiday lights for the street poles. So that'll be really exciting around Christmas times, like some sort of shooting stars or something. We're also looking at a monument rock for the Wagon Tails Dog Park for naming the park. And then some kiosk message boards at all 4 parks for information sharing. And then possibly some fitness equipment at there's a small city park across from Hunters Creek Park, which would be a great area for some outdoor exercise equipment.
So if you have the need to go work out, you have an opportunity to work out.
Well, your kids are also working out.
Right.
And then also some money for volunteer appreciation and some outdoor park equipment, like some extra things at the dog park and some
Right.
furniture. So
So that's what that's for. Do we have other committees on there? We have a transportation committee. We have a activities committee. We have the mayor's youth council in there. We have a historical committee that's working on trying to bring all the history to life here in Star. I think, did I get all the committees? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, okay. That are all part of that gets funding as well. Building expenses, this is where we're talking about the pass through. You saw on the other slide, it was like on the building inspector out of the 1.1 million or 3 million. So they'll get about 725,000. The electrical inspectors, plumbing inspectors and mechanicals, they get 60% of the contract. On the building inspector, the first $100,000 comes in at 60%. The 101,000 and up, they get paid at 40%. The city keeps the other 60. That's the way those contracts are looking. We are actually looking at what we're going to do with the building inspector on bringing that in-house because we can raise additional revenue to help the city function better by bringing it in-house at a cheaper rate. So we've already been having those discussions. Land use bonds, like we said, those are passed through unless someone does not execute their contract. And we've only had to threaten one person one time with that. So. Impact fees and proportionate shares. Every single bit of the ACHD impact fee is a pass-through. By state statute, we're not allowed to collect any processing fees. However, with the Star Fire impact fee, that's why you see this number different than the income side. We get to keep $20 for every impact fee we collect as part of our processing of that fee. ITD proportionate share, there is no fees associated with that. And CHD4, that's the same, but we're working with them on coming up with the fee structure for them as well, whether it be 20 or 25 bucks. Sports and recreation, pretty simple. Sports expenses and recreation camp expenses are anything from referees to uniforms to rentals of equipment and buildings, restrooms, whatever. They all fall into that category or cost to do business, right? There's always going to be an expense. Someday our goal hopefully is to have the income support even the salaries of all the folks that are in those departments, but it's hard to do that when you're trying to keep it at an affordable rate for our kids to be able to participate, right? And keep them active, because the more active they are, the less that Chief Hessing and crew have to deal with these kids, right? Expenses. Last year, we had an aggressive agenda that I'll go do a West Star area master plan similar to the South River plan. However, we didn't do it for good reason, and I'm not putting any money in it this year because with the lawsuit with the city of Middleton right now, we have to let that roll through the courts before I waste any money on that plan on there. And our transportation plan similar, that's what was all going to be tied kind of together on there. So those are $0. Buildings and grounds, this is our buildings crew, so 48,000 in buildings, the grounds, all the land and stuff like that, 62,000, equipment if necessary, 17,100. Tools, 13,000, repairs, we're starting to see a little bit more repairs in the city at 39,000. Uniforms for the crew, 1,900, and then landscaping for the 39,000, which could be trees, anything that falls into that category. And then on our capital expenses on the equipment, we got 10,000 and general buildings, 20,000 in case we need to utilize that. The general building stuff is probably going to be some of our resealing and resurfacing of our, I guess ceilings, not resurfacing, but sealing of our parking lots, which it's about due. So in conclusion, Star has been and remains a fiscally conservative city. Star has zero debt and no bonds. We have a healthy balance in our savings in case of a recession. Police are paid for close to 100% with property taxes, which includes adding a sergeant and a chief. Only 12.202% of the revenue is generated from property taxes. Parks are paid for with impact fees and not taxes. First of its kind proportionate share agreement will be funding an unfunded section of state highway here in Star. So our goal has and always been that Star, that we let growth pay for itself here. And that's what we try to work towards. I just want to bring up this too. We are in discussions with the BCA and whatnot about, we figured out that for every 370 houses that needs to be built, we need to add a new officer. And with our current property tax funding formula that the state had created 2 years ago, we're only able to finance one officer a year. We're on track every year to hit about 700 permits. That means we need 2 officers. So I went and met with the BCA and talked to them about the need that they need to figure out a way to help me fund my police and also our fire because they're growing as well, right, over the next several years, unless we can get legislation changed. And so that's part of having growth help pay for itself, right? We don't want to dip into our reserves or our savings to pay for something that should be funded with the growth, okay? Does council have any questions of me before I sit down and then we can have the public come up? Hearing none, I just want to make a shout out just real quick.
Mayor
Right, Dana?
Chadwick,
Yes.
before you do that, I'll
Okay.
just speak. I don't mean to speak on behalf of the council if you disagree, but I'll just say that the council and mayor had a couple of workshops actually. And so we've been through this budget with a fine tooth comb and looked through every detail and had a lot of input on this and are supportive of everything that the mayor has presented here tonight.
Yes, and that's to be fair. It's not like they're not wanting to ask questions. They ask questions before. I just didn't know if they had anything else that were coming up. So that's a good point out right there too. So, okay. So I'm going to just really quick, Miss Dana asked me to call this out. We have a police and fire volleyball matchup on August 19th at Star Middle School. The proceeds of this help fund our camp scholarships and stuff like that. So I want everybody to go to this event if you can. Let's make it loud and proud and let's support our police. David's a fire guy.
I got to support
So-
fire. Yeah, no offense.
So I'm gonna sit down and then Ryan, did you get, oh, you have the list there? Okay. Well, this is a very light list, so I'm just gonna ask, does anybody want to come up and speak to the budget first? I have just the Chalmers that signed up, but you didn't sign up to speak, but I want to give everybody an opportunity to speak if they choose to speak. That's in here. No? Okay, Dana, do we have anybody online that wants to speak? Oh, Victor's on, just our fire marshal Victor's online. Does he want to speak?
Good evening, Victor.
Hi, Victor.
Hey, Vic.
He's probably sleeping in his bunk over there, watching it, right?
Well, then, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll wait for you to close the hearing.
Okay, okay.
before I make-
All right, so we have nobody that wishes to
I'm
speak,
jumping
and that's
guns.
great. I hope, guys, we are trying to be really as transparent as possible. That's why I put this packet together here. So you understand where all the funds and stuff go here in the city of Star. We're fiscally healthy, responsible, and we have been. Previous councils and mayors and stuff have been that way for years, and that just kind of set the stage for our city as we go forward, right? And that's where I hope we stay for a long time. Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. Jacob was waiting for me at 7:50. And then, so tonight, guys, it will approve the budget, but we won't do the ordinance until the next public hearing, just so you're aware. I'm sorry? Next meeting, I'm sorry, not public hearing, next meeting. Yeah, you don't approve ordinance. Okay,
Just tentatively approve.
Okay.
the budget.
Well, Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Hershey?
Yes, first off, I want to agree with Councilman Nielsen. You did speak for us quite clearly, and we have, the evolution of this budget has been quite significant. I'm very happy with what we have, and the detail is there. We are fiscal, very conservative, and we're in the black with the accounting side. So I'm just going to go straight forward and say that we tentatively approve this budget as presented. I do know that you have to come down a little bit with the prosecutor's office, but going down is no big deal.
No, and we can leave it where it's at
Yeah.
and just let it roll.
Okay, so
Necessary,
that's,
yeah.
I mean, we've had
Yeah.
some wonderful workshops and I'm quite satisfied.
Is
Okay.
is that a motion?
That was a
Yes,
motion.
I- Jacob said I had to make it tentative motion because we have to publish.
Tentatively approve.
Oh.
Tentatively approved motion to move.
I'll
Forward.
second that.
I don't-
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
So legislatively, the city council is required to put together a budget every year, and that's what we're doing here. For the rest of the year, the accountability for this budget falls to Mayor Chadwick and the city staff. And I just want to take an opportunity here to thank the mayor and the staff and really also to congratulate them. The execution of a budget this large and the maintenance of a city like Star that's growing so fast and so, all kinds of things going on. And I'll include our police, department in that as well. Everybody who's involved in this is just doing a fantastic job. From my estimation, from what I can see, there's just nothing that I can pick apart or complain about. And that hasn't always been the case. I think there's been things that we could and that needed to be improved and kind of glared out there. There are still things that need to be improved, but there's not the glaring ones. And that's not saying that anybody in previous years did anything, wrong or anything like that. Just we've come a long way is my point. And so just want to make that statement and thank you, Mayor Chadwick and everybody here at the city.
Thank you. Okay, any further?
Second? Because we didn't get a second.
He did. He seconded
Oh,
it.
okay.
This is discussion time. Any further discussion? Holy cow, hearing none. Did you want to say something? I see you leaning forward.
I'm scared to make a tentative motion or a second or. any
This
of
is
those.
Councilman Wheelock's first time in a budget hearing. He was just elected
But-
this last year.
As I've looked through it and learned a lot more than I've known before, it looks more detailed than I've ever seen as a citizen. And the line by line going through it over and over is accurate. I'm happy that it's all in the black ink and always has been. I'm grateful for those that have came before that have maintained our city in that fashion. I look at like Town Days and its evolution, and it's been up and down, but always handled well from the city's point of view. I'm grateful for those that have raised funds for that event year after year. Tom being one of those that has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to have our city have an event that brought us all together. And those things need to be recognized, and I'm grateful for them.
Mhm.
I'm happy to support the budget and move forward.
Okay, any further comments?
I'll just add, as Councilman Nielsen mentioned, I appreciate the workshops that we had. I attended both of them and found them, we went through everything line by line and very comfortable with this. And I'm excited for this next year with the new things that we're bringing to the citizens.
Yep, thank you. Okay, any further comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
It died.
Is it not working?
Hershey,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
I,
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion is passed. Before I adjourn, I just want to thank the citizens. This is important for people to come. For years, we only had a couple folks that would ever show up to these hearings. The more and more that come, they need, if this is the city's budget, right? And it's important that everybody gets involved. And the fact that everybody comes to our public hearings too, that's fantastic because it's not our city, it's our city. Not ours here, it's all of ours city, right? And we try to grow it the right way. And I'm excited for some of these improvements that we're gonna do. I'm excited for the city. We went to a national night out thing right before this. I think we're gonna head to one here after. And it's just fun to talk to all the citizens and how excited they are to be here. And if we maintain the excitement, the friendliness, the neighborliness, it doesn't matter how much we grow, we still will have that small town feel as a city. It all starts right here in our mind with how we treat each other. So I appreciate everybody doing that. All right, with that said, it's 7:56. This is a record hearing.